It's 1915 in Harlem. A young woman, Zora Neale Hurston, dances wildly at a rent party. The room sways with jazz, laughter, and the daring hope of freedom. But this isn't just a party, it's a bold act of rebellion. Against Victorian rules, poverty, and brutal racism, women like Zora are rewriting what love, sex, and family mean. What does it take to live freely when the world says you can't? Let's dive into their beautiful experiments. In crowded cities like Philadelphia and New York, young black women aren't waiting around. They're pushing back against a rigid world, inventing new ways to love and live. But how did this intimate revolution actually unfold in everyday life? Take Zora Neale Hurston's rent parties. These were more than dances, they were incubators of freedom. Young black women packed small rooms, defying laws and norms by inviting lovers, friends, even queer partners. These spaces let them experiment with sexuality and kinship, crafting lives that refused Victorian primness and oppressive surveillance. This intimate freedom worked like a secret code. Think of it as encrypted love. By bending rules around marriage and relationships, they shielded themselves from a system designed to control black bodies. Their love lives became a clandestine rebellion, a living cipher that protected personal sovereignty in a hostile world. The payoff? A new blueprint. Instead of waiting for respectability, they created their own family forms. Common-law marriages, transient partners, single motherhood, all redefined what kinship and care looked like. These women weren't damaged or deviant. They were architects of a bold, new social order that challenged dominant narratives. But freedom didn't come free. These women balanced desire and survival in a world stacked against them. Their choices around sex, work, and intimacy were tangled with economic necessity and fierce self-determination. Ida, a 19-year-old in Philadelphia, uses her body as currency, not out of weakness, but as a savvy survival tactic. She exchanges sex for food, shelter, or protection from violent employers, reclaiming agency in a system that denies her respect. This transactional intimacy is a lifeline, not a trap. Refusing to toil as a servant or factory worker was no small rebellion. These women chose sporadic jobs or none at all, refusing to accept respectable poverty. It's like refusing to play a rigged game. They carved out margins where desire and autonomy could breathe, even if it meant living precariously. The thrill of desire reshaped who they were. Their loves and losses made them more than survivors. They became authors of their lives. Each relationship was a brushstroke on the canvas of identity, proving that longing itself is an act of revolution against constraints imposed by race, gender, and class. Not just straight, not just nuclear. Their experiments included queer relationships and unconventional families, pressing against the limits of law and society. These were lives crafted from both longing and necessity. In Harlem, women like Gladys formed queer bonds, relationships that were intimate, fierce, and often invisible to outsiders. These loves weren't just about desire, but survival and solidarity in a world that erased their existence. Queer intimacy became a safe harbor and source of defiance. Common law or transient marriages skipped legal ceremony but forged real lives. These arrangements provided safety nets and social legitimacy without submitting to a racist legal system that often denied black women full personhood. It was like inventing new rules while the old ones were still being enforced. Extended kinship networks replaced absent fathers and precarious states. Women cultivated communities where childcare, resources, and emotional labor were shared. In doing so, they built family models that prioritized cooperation over biology, radical in any era, transformative in their time. Back in that Harlem rent party, Zora's laughter echoes with every daring choice these women made. Their beautiful experiments weren't just acts of rebellion, they were assertions of life itself. So here's your challenge. Today, question one rule you take for granted about relationships or family. What would your own radical kinship look like if you designed it from desire, not duty? Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.